What up, y'all? I am Boo. Thanks for stopping in. From the YouTuber Andy M. Lee, annoying superhero costume trends. Really interested to get into this one. I have my own thoughts on some things. But before we get into the video, I'll say this. I will forever stand on the fact that I like Iron Man's suit in the first Iron Man better than the heavy CGI suits based on the nanotech that we got later. But let's get into it.
Welcome to this week's episode of Unscientifically Analyzing the Worst Live-Action Superhero Costume Trend. Featuring yours truly, a single unqualified idiot who has zero experience in real-world costume design. But before we get into this video, I just want to say that we've had more good costumes than bad ones. And just because I point out one trait I don't like doesn't mean I dislike the costume as a whole. Dude, this list is so invalid, you just cherry-pick the bad ones. Yeah, fucking congrats, Sherlock, that's exactly what I did. Anyway, the first design trend we have to tackle is one that I've seen everyone sick of right now. It's the line piping / panel lining. The reason I want to tackle this one first is because I think it's a bit over-hated. Everyone always says, oh, they MCU-fied this or they MCU-fied that, as if it's always a bad thing. But I personally think it has its place and justification sometimes.
I agree with him. I do.
For example, we got the Captain America stealth suit. I'm telling you right now, this suit would look total ass without those extra lines. You just want some flat colors throughout? Doesn't really work with the whole military cargo aesthetic. Besides, that's exactly how we got the 2012 Avengers Captain America suit, which, yeah, we all love, right? And I know for a fact that a shit ton of people were upset with the New 52 redesigns. I kind of grew up with the New 52, so I don't really think I'm allowed to complain, but characters like the Flash and Batman, I actually think they do look more...
Yeah. I love that. I don't hate all the New 52 designs, but see, those are peak right there.
Modern with those lines running throughout. But that's beside the point because that's comic form and live action's different. So if you didn't already know, the purpose of these lines / panels is to break up solid colors in a costume. Especially because in armor and tactical gear in real life, you wouldn't just see one solid color just rolled out. And if a costume is just one flat color throughout, it might look a bit weird on screen, especially to an audience who aren't really familiar with the character. Anyway, now that we got the boring bit out of the way, let's look at some, in my opinion, bad examples. Exhibit 1A, we got the upcoming Superman costume. I haven't seen the movie yet, I could eat my words, this whole section might age like milk, but dude, these lines, they are not doing it for me. Something about the distribution of the lines plus the baggy fit with it as well, it's just not working for me. The baggy costume is wrinkly enough, but then you're gonna add more lines on top of that? Again, I'm the expert, but even in the promo stills they released, I'm like, I can't lie, this looks fucked. I mean, just look at the fan art or the edits, just making the suit tighter or simplifying it as a whole just makes it way more digestible. Because
So, obviously, this suit is very divisive right now. I don't hate it, I don't love it. It just exists for me. I'm okay with it, but definitely not the best Superman suit I've seen, far from it. And definitely not the worst. But that example we seen where someone had the same suit but sucked all the air out of it where it was tighter, that looked really good. But I agree with everything he's saying.
I feel like if I just pushed on his side, it would just flap down in and out, you know what I mean? I think we can all agree that the Man of Steel costume and the Brandon Routh Kingdom Come costume still prove that simplicity works the best for Superman. And if this costume is made by his parents, it looks a bit too tactical with the lines everywhere, but if it's an alien costume, it looks a bit too homemade. I don't know, it's a weird in-between. Alright, Exhibit 1B, Tom Holland's first couple MCU Spider-Man costumes. There's a reason why everyone glazes that final suit at the end of No Way Home. We finally got rid of those random ass lines just running everywhere throughout his costumes. And again, I understand that the black lines were there to break up the solid colors and make it more visually interesting on screen, but I think nowadays we're slowly favoring the classic look. And when you previously had two perfect Spider-Man costumes and one polarizing one, it's a huge...
Ugh, I love that first Garfield suit. I wish they would have kept it for the Amazing Spider-Man 2 or something close to it. I love that suit. It's so different and it works. And I think that's why I like it. I think that suit's underrated.
Risk to add a...
And I wish they would have used that suit in Spider-Man, was it No Way Home? I can't even remember. Yeah, No Way Home. because it was hard when everything's moving so fast and somewhat zoomed out. It was hard to distinguish between Toby and Garfield in suit.
Bunch of shit that wasn't there originally. And especially when you compare it to the most recent suit we got, yeah, it looks really clean without the lines. Even just edits of the Homecoming suit without the piping everywhere, it just pops off the screen so much more. Alright, the Iron Spider suit, listen,
I've never been a fan of this suit. Sorry, not sorry. I don't know what it is about it. I'm just not a fan of how it looks. I used to get mad. I was like, oh, don't get in the iron suit, please.
Never really a fan of it because, my god, something just looks wrong. I don't know if it's the colors or something, but maybe it's because we went from this to this. This might actually be a world record for most amount of lines added to a live-action superhero costume compared to the comic book counterpart. Once here, we got John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. I mean, do I really need to say anything here? Do I? The guy looks like a 2035 Mario Kart racetrack. If you saw this guy, you would not assume he's some good old family man superhero who's super into science. No, you would assume that he's some military-tested, tech-based walking weapon. Especially when you compare it to how classic the upcoming Fantastic Four look and how the 2005 Fantastic Four rock their shit. This just looks like a case of over...
I actually like this Fantastic Four suit. I do. I don't know what it is. I think it's the separation in the arms with the single chevrons and the black and the overlapping blue and the black collar with the panel look. I like it.
Designing, in my opinion. Alright, second design trend I think I have to get out of the way because everyone talks about it. It's the nanotech helmet. Now, if you've been online or been in nerd circles, you've read complaints about nanotech helmets. And if you haven't, I'm about to indulge you. So the main criticism is that nanotech has infiltrated the MCU so deeply that every character basically has a nanotech component to their costume. I say MCU, by the way, because DC has been relatively sane when it comes to this. So when we had iconic suit-ups from Iron Man like this...
That's awesome. See, I love that.
And this...
That's dope too.
We kinda maxed out at this.
I hate this. I hate that. I hate that. I said it earlier. I hate that. Oh my god, it looks so bad. It looks so fake. I hate it. I hate it.
Makes sense. Iron Man has always been about tech progression, and it did play a role into the story of the films.
Yes.
However, let's look at some characters where the nanotech helmets kind of just piss me off. Exhibit 2A, Iron Spider, I'm sorry, but you're back for another beating. Imagine if you told someone 10 years ago, dude, soon, Spider-Man in the movies, he's gonna have a nanotech helmet that can just appear out of nowhere. People would just be like, yeah, sure, dude. Whatever you say, I'm just excited for the greatest movie of all time, Fan 4 Stick. Like, brother, I did not know I had to say this out loud, but Spider-Man's costume should not have to be suspended in some containment liquid for it to fucking work. When Peter has a nanotech mask, you just miss out on a bunch of human drama. Like this from Amazing Spider-Man. Or this from Spider-Man 2. I'm just saying it wouldn't have hit the same if Harry had to pull out some sort of encryption hacking device to get rid of that mask. Or what if Doc Ock pulled off Peter's mask in No Way Home? That would have been so much more dramatic than nanobots just moving around Peter's body. Exhibit 2B, Ant-Man. Now you might be thinking, dude, Ant-Man's whole thing is going nano. What do you mean this doesn't make sense? Listen, it can still make sense in universe with the rules that just throwing left and right, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. I love seeing Paul Rudd's face pop through underneath that helmet shield. It just plays into his ruggedness as a thief. And obviously, it just looks more real, and that Quantumania helmet stuff, it does just look lazy. I'm sorry. Yeah. Exhibit 2C, the time-traveling Avengers. I know, the main reason for these costumes is because during filming they couldn't decide on what the costumes were gonna look like. However, it doesn't stop these costumes from being visually lazy. Yeah, let me just press this button and whoa, it's gone. No repercussions, no weight or anything, it's just fucking gone. And again, I get it, technology in universe has made this possible, but at this point, it's borderline magic. Exhibit 2D, Black Panther. I think we can all agree that the Civil War Black Panther suit was the best Black Panther suit. The way he just takes off his helmet is just complete fucking aura farming. Then they thought for some reason it would be cool if the helmet just disappeared because, you know, the tech is so advanced. Imagine how much cooler this scene would have been if he just slowly took off his helmet. Yeah, Wakanda's technologically advanced. Shut up, okay? Not everything has to be linear and logical in fiction if you want to deliver a better story. Exhibit 2E, we have Thor. Can someone please explain to me why Thor, of all characters, Avengers had a nanotech helmet. Okay, it's not nanotech, but it's still the same. Oh, look, it's gone out of
Asgardian
CGI
magic.
because we couldn't decide on what it was going to look like during pre-production. I mean, the way it just disappears. Where is it going? Is it just some magical hologram that wasn't there in the first place? Someone explain. Anyway, lazy. Exhibit 2F, I present Sam Wilson, Captain America. Why? Do you know how cool Steve Rogers looked taking off its helmet before fighting Batroc the Leaper? And you're telling me that Sam Wilson has a visor under another helmet? What? Even in universe, that doesn't make much sense. I also love how they make no attempt to show where this nanotech helmet folds into. Like, fuck physics. I guess matter just appears.
Where's the point of origin?
Or maybe it just folds into his tiny little fabric collar. Yeah, that makes sense. At least with Iron Man Infinity War, you can see where the nanotech distributed throughout his body. Sam Wilson's just using magic. Alright, while we're talking about CGI, let's go over this other trend that we all kind of hate right now, and that's when a costume is unnecessarily entirely CGI.
God.
Keyword
I hate
being
those.
unnecessarily. Like, I'm not gonna bitch about Thanos being CGI. However, sometimes I'm just like, dude, this does not have to be entirely CGI. And again, it's probably
You know, Green Lantern's coming. You
from
know
a
it.
result of lack of decisiveness from pre-production and planning. Exhibit 3A, we have Black Panther, once again. I'm sorry,
So
okay,
bad.
good character, but we can't let this slide. It seems like every costume in the MCU is now CGI'd over unless you have some sort of military association.
Like, I don't mind a light layer of CGI. Like, I get it. But Lord Jesus, some of these are bad.
I mean, the final fight in Black Panther 1 is borderline.
I can't see how people defend this final fight scene. The CGI is horrific. Horrific. Point blank, period. And I think, did this movie beat out Aquaman for best CGI? I can't remember, but that was a travesty.
Line just painful to watch. Apparently the VFX team only had 6 weeks to animate that entire scene because decisions kept changing behind the scenes, which is fucking insane. 6 weeks? Again, they film stuff with the actors, but they have to change everything later on because decisions just kept changing. Also, I know I was glazing the Civil War suit earlier, but I'm pretty sure for the most part, every Black Panther suit has been entirely CGI, or at least covered with CGI. They have a practical stand-in for principal photography, and then they just digitally replace it. Sometimes it's not noticeable, but other times it's like, oh man. The matte black in the Civil War suit definitely made it easier to hide the CGI, but when he got glowing lines everywhere and making it skin tight to his body, nah, man. Also, this isn't specific to Black Panther, but everything just has a gray wash to it to make the CGI less noticeable. You got costumes like Batfleck in BVS that looks really real because it was real. Then you got Black Panther running around in CGI glass, moving way too elastic for a real human being to be inside that costume. Fucking looks like Gumby doing parkour everywhere. But I can't talk about CGI superhero costumes without talking about the one that started it all, Exhibit 3B, Green Lantern. It's crazy to think that 10 years ago people would shit on Green Lantern for having an entirely CGI costume, but now it's like, fuck it, the entire Avengers just slap some digital suits on them and then we're good. Did this Green Lantern suit have to be entirely CGI? No, fucking of course not. But I guess out of all the mainstream superheroes, Green Lantern wouldn't have been a bad one to try it out on. I mean, there's the alien origin and there's the constant energy flows that they went with, so that kind of makes sense. Did it make sense on screen? No. And I don't blame the VFX people, okay? Do you know how long it will take to adjust a digital mask to every single micro expression on Ryan Reynolds' face? Plus, this was back in 2010, 2011, so technology would not have been as good as it is today. And as if you didn't have enough VFX resources dedicated to making the suit and the mask, but now you have to worry about CGI characters, CGI environments, and these superpowers, shit was getting spread way too thin. But again, probably just from the lack of time given because they didn't realize how sophisticated this process would have been, and studio executives, they just want to save money. So, Exhibit 3C, The Flash. If there's an ugly suit for a titular superhero post-Endgame award, then The Flash might have it at a clean sweep. I'm someone who liked the Flash costume in the Justice League. I know.
So, I don't hate the Flash suit from the Flash movie. It's not the best. I don't mind it. But Zack Snyder's Flash suit, oh, it's so amazing. I love it. I love it. And then I love the explanation for him building it that way, and basically scrapyard junk or something along those lines. Not scrapyard. I think he said salvaged space shuttle parts or something along those lines, because of their ability to absorb and distribute heat, something along those lines. Don't quote me on that. But I really love this Flash suit so much. The separation, everything. Oh man, I think this Flash suit, Zack Snyder's Flash, is probably one of my favorite superhero suits in cinema. Period. Look, I gotta give it to Zack Snyder. He nailed those suits. Wonder Woman, Flash, Batman, Superman. He knocked it out the park.
I know a lot of people say that's over-designed and stuff, but I think it worked for the concept that they were going for. But this suit, I think we can all agree, unite all the nations here to agree that this suit is 100 times worse. What's funny is that I remember when they first released images of this costume and everyone was like, okay, that's not bad. We got a bright red, you know, much more simplified than the Justice League suit. But then more images started coming out, some in daylight, some in motion, and hope just started to spin down like bathtub water in a drain. We got bubbleheads, we got flimsy limbs, we got terrible physics, the fucking trifecta of a shitty CGI superhero costume. It's like Civil War Iron Man, but on steroids. I mean, just look at that fucking head. That is pasted on. That is not attached to a real body. And the worst part about this is that there was literally no reason for the Flash to have a CGI costume in the first place. Green Lantern, alien origin, okay, I get it. Iron Man, you got a hunky humanoid mech suit. Okay, you can't really do that in real life. The Flash? What?
Why?
I just have so many questions. Even the physical version of the suit that they made for marketing purposes, it just looks really skin tight and plasticky, like a Schumacher Batman suit. I wouldn't believe for a second that a real person can fit in there and move around. It looks like they'd just be stuck. Which is the opposite of what the Flash should be. Also, again, not blaming the VFX artists at all, because there are some wildly ambitious action set pieces throughout this film, and they probably had 2 hours to animate each scene, and they probably got paid pennies and a slice of bread. Next example, we have returning guest MCU Spider-Man as Exhibit 3D. Yeah, you bet your ass these costumes look 3D. The worst culprits would probably have to be the Homecoming suit and the Iron Spider suit. If you didn't already know, they did have a real suit for Spidey's first appearance.
So I actually like the Homecoming suit. Sorry, not sorry.
In Civil War, but that was pretty much just a placeholder for the CGI version to come later. And the thing is, this suit looks pretty good in most cases. It's just that they went skin tight in every single area of...
Yes, I like it, but I have to admit, it does look fake in CGI. I do, and that's one thing that TASM, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did, that I find it very noticeable in that movie, is you can tell that it's tangible. Like when that scene where he's like dropping from the sky in the beginning, and you can see the folds, the small folds in the suit, and then the wind making them flat. Those kinds of details. I'm like, oh yeah.
Of the human body, and it just looks weird. Compare that to Andrew Garfield's costume or Tobey Maguire's
that right there,
and you get some wrinkles.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Oh man, me and him should do a video together. Amazing detail, and it feels real.
You get some flaps, but then you look at this suit and something about it just looks really off to the human eye. And since they can just CGI the whole thing, sometimes it just looks like there isn't even a human in there. For someone like Iron Man, you can get some leeway because it's a chunky boy and your brain can just fill in the gaps like, oh yeah, there's a person in there, I guess. But when you see Spidey's costume fill in every single crevice of the human body, he just looks like a skinny little alien. Even the Night Monkey suit, yes, it was mainly in nighttime, so it's easier to mask the CGI, but even in still shots, you can tell that it looks so much more real because of the textures and the layers. Iron Spider, I've said my piece. Like, come on, it just looks real dodgy sometimes. I'm not saying I know any way to achieve this suit design practically. I'm just saying maybe let the VFX artist cook a bit longer and maybe finalize some decisions before filming the actual fucking movie. And maybe don't pick a design like this because it makes his head look really small for some reason. All right.
I was about to say, I guess one of the reasons I have a problem with that, you can see it in this shot he just showed. Let me rewind it. 13. Let me go ahead.
The VFX artist cook a bit longer and maybe finalize some decisions before filming the actual fucking movie. And maybe don't pick a design like this because it makes his head look...
Like he looks, that's not Spider-Man's body type. Like it just makes everything look too broad and too bulky. Like he's a power lifter. That's not Superman's physique.
Really small for some reason. All right, next trend is the complete opposite, and that's no CGI when it was completely necessary. Yes, I'm being a picking and choosing bitch. Yes, I'm a hypocrite, blah, 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 blah. But sometimes when the budget ain't there, a studio will make a bizarre decision to make a character out of practical effects rather than the very much needed CGI. And I get it, CGI is expensive, and if it's for a main character, you would rather save that cash for action sequences and stuff. However, there are some characters I feel like if you can't do it with CGI, just don't fucking do it at all. The most extreme example of this is without a doubt Exhibit 4A, Apocalypse and X-Men.
Oh,
Apocalypse.
God.
My
I didn't even think
this
about
is the
this.
X-Men equivalent of trying to do Thanos or Darkseid with just the makeup. And Oscar Isaac isn't even that short, but at 5'7", 5'8", not the best guy to portray Apocalypse. Apocalypse is supposedly around 7 feet tall, so yeah. They did the best they could with perspective shifting and stuff, but bro, come on. And the height is only one issue. The design itself, my God. The concept art looks good, but when he
Ivan Ooze. Like, when I see him, he is Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie.
translated to real life, it just looks fucking bizarre. I remember the whole meme about him looking like Ivan Ooze, which is pretty accurate. I mean, the fact that we got Thanos and Darkseid a few years after this movie came out makes us all the more embarrassing. It's unfortunate that pretty much means that Marvel's probably not going to touch Apocalypse for a while, but I mean, at least that means they'll use Mr. Sinister soon, which is, you know, I'm down for that. There has been concept art of what Apocalypse could have looked like, and damn. I mean, the armor looks a bit outdated, but if you took that head on the costume that they went with, oh man, they could have cooked. Anyway, it's not like they would have had any CGI budget left for Apocalypse anyway after that whole Quicksilver saving the house scene. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Speaking of Quicksilver, the way that he pretty much looks the exact same size as Apocalypse is pretty fucking nuts to me. Like, that should not compute. Imagine the Flash slapping around a Darkseid the same size as him. That's not right. Anyway, just CGI him next time. Bryan Singer, I know you like things realistic and colorless, but from now on, maybe just worry about your other alleged problems in life, okay? Exhibit 4B, we got Killer Croc in Suicide Squad 2016. Now
Oh, God. Oh, you know what? It's even worse than Apocalypse. I was so disgusted with this Killer Croc design. Jeez, man, that movie was so bad.
let me just say this, yes, the team did an insane job with the makeup. Like, I am honestly not surprised that they won the Oscar. Like, the reptilian skin flaps and the scale texture is fucking unreal.
Yeah,
okay?
but the
Absolutely
design choice.
amazing artistry. However, I'm just
it's a
saying
bad
that
design.
if Killer Croc and Deadshot are in the same movie, Killer Croc should be taller by a significant amount. But I will play devil's advocate here. They were clearly going for a more grounded rendition of Killer Croc, you know, just
don't
a
like
guy
it.
with a skin condition.
Don't like it.
And a mental health condition, and a teeth condition, and an appetite condition. That's not the point there. The point is that Killer Croc probably would have looked better as a CGI character.
Yes.
Not only would this have saved the headache from the makeup and the special effects department, but the whole movie was basically set at nighttime. If that's not a layout
When I saw what James Gunn did with King Shark, I immediately was like, man, he would have done great with Killer Croc.
for a CGI character, then I don't know what is. I mean, how is this regular-sized man with a skin condition taking on those alien minion things? And the fact that we got King Shark and James Gunn Suicide Squad a few years later kind of proves that this team needed a big man. And speaking of Suicide Squad 2016, I did make a video covering a bunch of DCEU concept art that was rejected. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out now already. I'll link it up here somewhere. Check out my Patreon, $3 a month for extra videos. And there are free videos for free members as well, so check that out as well. Check out my Instagram, check out my second channel for random vlogs and videos. Check out my letterbox. And I'll see you next week. See ya.
Pretty good breakdown. Pretty good breakdown. I think his analysis was pretty spot on, though we may have disagreed on some things that he liked and I didn't like. But even there, I know I might have some guilty pleasures with some suits, and I can acknowledge that certain parts of it weren't good design. Well, like he said, there's certain things I don't like about the suits, but it doesn't mean I dislike or like the suit as a whole. Just like what he said. But yeah, man. But geez, I didn't even think about Apocalypse and Killer Croc. Oh God, those were so bad. Like, man, I'm not even gonna lie. I did like X-Men Apocalypse as a movie. I did. There were some things I didn't like about the movie, but overall it was good. But I'd be lying to you if when Apocalypse was on camera, I was just kind of like taken out of it. I'd be lying to you. It's crazy because it's kind of like his movie. He's X-Men Apocalypse. Oh, I was actually hoping that he was going to talk about the Batman, Reeves the Batman suit, but I guess that suit is just so damn good. There's nothing annoying about it. I love that suit. I still think BVS Batfleck is peak for Batman suits for me, but Chris Reeves suit, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about it. Sound off in the comment section. Let me know about your favorite suits and your most disliked suits. That's all I gotta say about it. That's a wrap for today's episode. I appreciate each and every one of you for stepping in, showing your love, showing your support, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Now I could sit here and smack you all around with the generic like, comment, subscribe BS, but nobody gives a damn about that. So do whatever the hell you want to do, because you're going to do it anyway. Now, I'm going to give you to the count of 10 to get your ugly, yellow, no good keister off my property before I pump your guts full of lead. I am Boo, and I am out.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.